Title: The Tapes That Whisper. In the tattered town of Evershade, childhood legends flitted through the autumn air like restless spirits. Young Krista Moore felt a thrill shiver up her spine as she and her friends, Matt and Leila, gathered on the porch of the old schoolhouse one evening. They could hardly ignore the stories floating around campus, the tales of a cursed audio tape said to contain the last recorded sounds of a class that had mysteriously vanished decades ago. No student had returned from that cursed class, yet the oh-so-forbidden tape remained untouched, lurking somewhere among the dusty archives. "Let's find it," Matt said with a twinkle of excitement in his eye. They exchanged hushed whispers and shared glances that spoke of mischief and thrill, decisions seeming to bloom in their young minds with the beckoning of adventure. Darkness soon descended upon them, the landscape painted eerie hues in the moonlight. They made their way to the schoolhouse armed with courage and a flashlight, pressing through the rusty doors that yielded an ominous creak. The air inside was stale, thick with the musty scent of rotting wood and old chalk dust, a relic of the past lodged deep within the town. "We'll split up and check the old classrooms," suggested Leila, trying to act brave though her voice trembled slightly. Krista nodded, her heart racing, excitement mingling with fear. They agreed to meet back by the old principal's office, where the school's records were kept. Krista roamed through the crumbling halls, seeking any sign of the elusive tape. Her flashlight flickered against the peeling walls, casting shadows that danced and flickered to life. She finally stumbled upon a forgotten AV room, filled with dusty projectors and old cables that seemed to whisper tales of a time long past. But what really caught her eye was the tape recorder sitting ominously on a shelf. She felt a magnetic pull toward it and clasped her hands around the cool plastic of the recorder as she lifted it free. Underneath, just as 5 minutes of adrenaline surged through her, she saw it, a reel of tape, yellowed and frayed, marked with cryptic handwriting. "Forbidden." "Guys, I found it," she called, her voice echoing too loud for the silence that enveloped the school. When Matt and Leila joined her, their faces mirrored her excitement. "Are you sure we should play it?" Matt questioned after he brushed away some cobwebs. A crackle of fear trembled in the air, but Krista felt emboldened by curiosity. "We can't leave without knowing," she insisted, and soon, Leila agreed, intrigued by the thrill of the unknown. With trembling hands, Krista attached the tape to the recorder, the score of their heartbeats drumming alongside it. Pressing the play button, they waited anxiously, their breaths hanging suspended in the stale air. For a brief moment, there was silence, then the static cracked open like an old, rotting door. The first sound that emerged was an unsettling whisper, barely audible yet dense with dread. The whispers grew louder, layering over each other like a cacophony of voices, disembodied and filled with a song of desperate pleas. Krista squinted, leaning closer, willing herself to make out the words. "Help us, we can't see." Matt exchanged worried glances with Leila, their earlier excitement fading into an unease that settled in their chests. "I think we should turn it off," he said, but Krista, driven by something deeper, shook her head, captivated by the haunting details spilling through the air. Then came the clarity, a voice rising above the din. It belonged to a girl sounding eerily familiar, her pleading echoing through their bones. "We're trapped. They took us, the shadows, don't let them touch you." Suddenly, the record began to distort, crackling louder, the voices merging together in a frenzied rise, the sound of footsteps, laughter, and then silence. The abrupt presence of nothingness cut through the air, stifling and suffocating. A cold breeze swept through the room, swirling dust in the moonlight, the atmosphere tangibly shifting. "Did you feel that?" Leila shuddered. "We need to stop. I don't like this." Krista's heart raced. She scrambled to turn off the recorder, but her fingers fumbled clumsily across its surface. The whispers morphed into a panicked chorus, begging them to listen, to save them, as a single, resonating voice unleashed an unimaginable scream. And just like that, the air around them felt heavier. The three of them stood frozen, the reality of their curiosity crashing down like waves against a rocky shore. Before they could grasp what was happening, Matt turned pale, and the room chilled to its core. A shadow crept behind them, slow and deliberate. A figure formed, a silhouette cloaked in despair, threads of darkness weaving through the air like fingers reaching out. The panic earned strength, and Krista's heart thundered as the figure drew nearer, freezing them like deer caught in headlights. "Run!" Leila shouted, grabbing Krista and Matt. They bolted from the room and sprinted down the corridor, the shadows swirling after them, echoes of the past gaining ground. With pounding hearts, they burst from the building into the freedom of the night, but the weight of the whispers stayed clinging to their minds. The truth resonated through their souls. They hadn't just discovered an audio tape, they had awakened something far greater and more terrifying. Safe in the coolness of the moonlight, they vowed to leave the past buried in its grave, but the memories would haunt them like ghosts. They had unwittingly become a part of the curse, trapped in a labyrinth of whispers that promised to return if they ever dared to forget. Evershade had secrets it was not prepared to share, and the haunted audio of the lost children remained in the shadows, waiting for its next listener.